Okay, time to finish this off. Let's talk about Nintendo's digital event.
Nintendo didn't have a lot to talk about, but they had some big things to talk about.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it, Nintendo was the most desperate, in a way. They had the most bad things around them. The 3DS was slowing down, the Wii U was doing terrible. But it was starting to get better because of Mario Kart. So now, when we saw the digital event, I didn't know what to expect.
We knew it wasn't going to be like the Nintendo Direct,
which was good. Slow and intermittent.
And we were like, so we're going to see what kind of announcements we're going to see. And we got a lot.
We got a lot of content.
And a lot of humor, too. There's a lot of entertainment.
There was a lot of self-depreciation, kind of. There was fun. It felt like more toward us than it felt toward the press, in a way.
They had Robot Chicken do some scenes in between, and they had, interviews with the directors.
Yeah, they had these interview moments where they would talk with the directors of the project. They spent a long time talking about projects, and we'll get to those in a bit. And meanwhile, they also had trailers in the mix as well, and they made announcements. It was actually fairly well paced, even though very few things actually came out of the digital event.
And it should be mentioned that after the Nintendo digital event, they had 3 solid days of live streaming, which really helped out.
Yeah, and in fact, we watched a lot of that. The Treehouse Live events, as it were, they actually had people from Nintendo Treehouse sit down and play the games, talk about them, and hype them up in ways that really you wouldn't have expected from an actual press conference. I got to give Nintendo a lot of props for what they did at this E3. I'd say that of all 3, they were the ones that were most focused on selling their content to the people watching, as opposed to the people who were attending.
Yes, this was more about the gamers who are watching and want to buy stuff than the people who are there just to talk about them.
Yeah, so
let's just get out of the way with Super Smash Bros. Wii U and for 3DS.
Yes, so Super Smash Bros. 4, 3DS and 4 Wii U. They showed off a fight with Iwata and Reggie Fils-Aimé, and it turned out they were doing that to announce Mii Fighters.
Yes.
Where you could play as either Mii Brawler, Mii Sword Fighter, or Mii Gunner. Each with their own special move sets, and each having their own special moves inside each slot to choose from, which Masahiro Sakurai said is equivalent to about 9 characters of the 3.
Yes, and you had Ice-T, who was one of the characters.
And Elijah Wood, and Abraham Lincoln.
This was a lot of crazy stuff. They also announced some other characters. Let's get these all out of the way. All the Smash Bros. Stuff. Palutena from Kid Icarus.
Yeah, she was announced at the end of the digital event, and she actually looks like she has the same deal as do the Mii's, in that she has her own set of movesets to use.
Which are all based off of Kid Icarus Uprising.
Unless all of her movesets has her declare the move as she uses it.
We have no idea.
It
was great to have her announced because everyone really wanted to play as her.
And there was a leak well beyond months ago that showed her off in a picture. So we kind of knew, but we kind of didn't. So it's nice to see her confirmed 100%.
And then at an event outside of war, kind of like a round table for Smash Brothers, Sakurai announced Pac-Man. The final
third-party character. Yeah, no Snake here, by the way. But yeah, Pac-Man, he looks like the older Pac-Man, not the one that's...
The arcade Pac-Man.
Yeah, the newer ones. He uses a lot of arcade-based attacks.
And sprites. He attacks with throwing fruits. And
no surprise, his final smash is turning into a giant Pac-Man.
And Pac-Man stages.
Yeah, that always looked really cool. It was really nice unveiling. Too bad it had to happen not at the Invitational, which was a big thing, by the way. They had a Smash Bros. Invitational with 16 great fighters for Super Smash Brothers. They came together. Jeff Keighley looked like he wanted to kill someone for
Pikachu.
Showing Pikachu. And on top of that, they had some special fights in there in the midst. Well, they had one that was like the journalists, and one that was from these no-name actors. Zelda Williams was there.
She brought a Majora's Mask.
That was nice. But that was really cool, and we even got to play it at Best Buy events.
Yes, Best Buy had it playable on Wednesday and on Saturday. People got the chance to play it. If they pre-ordered, they got a coin.
Yeah,
it was a nice event. We got a chance to play the Smash Run on the 3DS version, and also got to play a match on the Wii U version.
Yep.
We should bring up the 3DS. They announced the release date,
October 3rd. That's like 2 months after summer.
But yeah, it's a bit far off. Now, it is coming out in Japan a month early.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, that means people in Japan are going to get a nice whole month ahead of us. And some people are actually, I know, are running out to try to find a Japanese 3DS just to play this game.
Either way, it took up a good chunk of the show. It's a big thing. That huge screen at the actual...
There is one thing else they also announced with Smash Brothers. Amiibos.
Yep, so Reggie Fils-Aimé in the digital event, he showed off a Mario figurine for Amiibo, which is a new platform which allows figurines to connect through your Wii U gamepad all the way into the game and back. For Smash Bros. Specifically, it was about taking a character clone, effectively. A computerized character that was to level 50, that you can customize their movesets, but they're not actually controlled by you. They're either sparring partners or they join you in a team.
Yes.
For us, that's not going to be a problem because then it'd be 2 versus 2.
Yes.
But for other people, it's not really going to be as interesting as, say, Skylanders or whatnot.
I really need to see more of Amiibo. So far, they announced a variety of games that will utilize them, but not be needed for them. And this is the big difference from how Skylanders and Disney Infinity work. And I'm not sure if they're going to have specialized Amiibo for games. I mean, there's going to be one for every playable character in Super Smash Brothers.
Almost 50 characters.
There's a lot of characters. I'm definitely getting Kirby and Villager, but I'm gonna. But that's the problem. You start, and then next thing you know, you can't stop.
Yeah.
But I need to see more games that utilize it. I mean, they talked about the other games we're going to mention that utilize it.
Yeah, I mean, the one game they did mention that was already out is Mario Kart 8.
I don't know. They showed
Luigi Death Stare. But we have no idea what that is. We have no idea why you would want to why you would need the amiibo.
Why would I put a Marth statue on Mario Kart 8?
I mean, they've also gone on the record to say like there's some character like game exclusive models that do something on the game, but that acknowledge, like for instance, the Smash Bros. Mario is known for Smash Brothers, and he's going to have a big thing in Smash Brothers. But he can go into other games and say, "Oh, that's Mario," but he's not that game's Mario. I'm confused by what Nintendo really wants to do with that.
This is still kind of Nintendo's not sure what to do with it yet, I think. But again, if you like the characters, you'll buy them.
Yeah, I think that they need to have a Nintendo Direct just to talk about the Amiibos again, just to get us an idea as to what is going to be expected.
Nintendo Amiibos Direct.
Something like that.
So, in fact, they even had like a video outside of the the digital event saying, "Here's how it works."
Yeah. So.
And even then, I'm still
still unsure, but it looks nice. They look nice. The build is good.
The next thing they had was a director's.
A director diary, so to speak, for Yoshi's Woolly World.
This is what Yoshi's Yarn was back in
a year and a half ago.
Back in January.
Finally, we get to see the game.
And it has changed a lot. You're now playing as this little plush Yoshi, hand sewn out of wool and everything, and you basically play in a large woolly world with yarn and everything's cushy and
it's cute. Essentially, so they decided to change it up. They actually explained that they wanted to make a game that wasn't just. They originally were planning to be just like Kirby's Epic Yarn.
Yes.
From what they always showed in the footage in January of last year.
But one big thing about it is that basically Yoshi's tongue unravels the enemies, and you get instead of getting an egg, you actually get a ball of yarn from them, and then you can throw that ball of yarn at like wire meshes, and it sews in objects there like platforms and pipes. Yeah, and so this is also the first Yoshi game that's cooperative at the same time. Yes, there's a red Yoshi that'll accompany you.
Yeah, it looks really good. The atmosphere is solid. At first, when I first saw it, I thought, this is going to be a little too easy. The audio reminds me of that unfortunate game, Yoshi's New Island.
But then we saw more of it, again, through
from Treehouse Live.
This was definitely a lot better looking. The music was on par with what I would expect from Kirby's Epic Yarn. So that's good. And it looks challenging. It has pits, and you can die, you can hurt. And just the whole thing looked like it had charm.
It had its charm, just like Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's really hard to not get cavities from this game.
Like, no! This is too much.
Too much. And then they had a trailer for a game I completely didn't expect.
This threw me over. It's like, what?
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Now, a lot of people said when they played Super Mario World 3D World, they really liked the Captain Toad levels, where you basically play on a floating platform and you rotate the camera and you navigate Toad, who can't jump, and move him around to try and collect a star. And that was the whole premise of the game. This time, if you're like, I could play a whole game like that.
I was saying that. I was like, hey, this is really fun.
And that's exactly what they did.
It's a full game. A full
retail game. They say there's so much content in this game. And it's like it's a puzzle platformer. So that's what it is. And you basically move Toad around. You control the camera, and you move through different environments, like a train. They had a train. There was a a dragon boss. It's a boss. You're Toad. You can't do anything.
You're Captain Toad. He can't even hop. He's just
there's a haunted house with doors and everything. There was an underwater area. There was a lot of things they were showing us.
Yeah, I think
it has a special power, like
a pickaxe.
Pickaxe.
And one of the funny things about this is that I almost wonder if they had made a lot of levels and put only some of them in Super Mario 3D World to gauge people's perception. And then when people were positive about it, they said, okay, time to finish, time to make it a full game. But
the game came out last year, and it's like, so either this didn't take them that long to make, or they had a lot of ideas they scrapped, and when I hear the people saying, we like that, like, okay, we just bring them back in.
Bring them in.
I mean, there's so many ideas that Nintendo gets rid of that they can just probably pull them out.
And this is another amiibo-based game, and
somehow. There was this one like track game where you could use the gamepad to aim and shoot, which was also nice. I think that this looked nice. I really liked the Toad stages. Mm-hmm. I want to see how long it is and how much there is to it. Because if it's just the same thing over and over again, I might get tired of it. So they need to add enough variety and creativity to it. And these guys tend to do that. So hopefully we'll see that.
Oh, but then the Legend of Zelda showed up.
Oh yeah, this was everyone wanted to see this. It's been I like how he dragged it out a bit.
He's like a new one shows up,
and he's so we're gonna talk about Zelda and its old perceptions. Here's the old Legend of Zelda. You can go anywhere you want, and blah blah blah. And then he goes, "All right, so let's just show you the new game." And he goes like snaps his fingers, and behind him is this large, open, vast field with mountains in the back. And he goes, "This is the new Legend of Zelda. See those mountains over there? You can go there." Like people, I used to say that back with like Skyrim. It's like,
this is Nintendo going through their last generation that we got already. So it's like, oh, now they're starting to promise things that other developers have been promising for the last 5 years.
Like, okay, so you want open world Zelda?
Here you go,
open world Zelda.
And then he goes on to say, oh, by the way, calm place is being attacked by giant monsters. That's a convention we can hold, right?
And all of a sudden, this robot walks in and starts shooting the place up, and I'm like, "What is this?"
And then Link gets launched into the air by his horse,
and then pulls out like a mechanical bow and arrow with
magical
and
crystals,
and shoots it in the eye, and then
2015.
They know if people want it, and people are just can't stop talking about this game.
Is he a girl? That was the talking for a while time, because he went on to say, "Hey, did I ever say that was Link?" And then there was like, "That's not Link, it's Zelda."
What's going on? He's no, it's Link.
Yeah, it's Link.
And it's not.
I was joking. Let's not get ourselves into a frenzy or anything.
I'm still going to say that we didn't see Majora's Mask. We'll say that there, unfortunately. He said that he felt bad that he put Majora's Mask in
the game
in Link Between Worlds, because he says that was kind of just a play thing. And it's like, well, now what you gonna do?
Now we're gonna do about it.
Then we went on to another game,
Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Yes, this is the remakes of
Ruby and Sapphire. They showed no real discussion. It was just the trailer. This is obviously Pokemon Company being as close to the chest as possible. Yeah. They just don't like talking about their games.
No.
They're like, "Hey, here's the game. You know you want it. I'm gonna walk that way."
It's remake against remake. Apparently, now there's mega upgrades for everyone.
Yep, there's mega Pokemon forms they've been talking about.
Mega
evolutions. And they also have these new the primal forms.
Yeah, they somehow devolve into their primitive forms, make them more powerful and destructive,
which looks cool.
And everyone got redesigned. As far as new content, the new maps shown there's some new stuff going on. So it's not it's gonna have it's a remastering.
Yeah.
Much like how Gold and Silver were remastered. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It looks like it's using the same engine as Pokemon X and Y.
So don't expect any 3D display except when you're playing battles with 1-1 matches.
So that is a disappointment. Also, I don't see any customization. But then again, this is just a trailer.
Yeah.
Who knows what we'll see from here.
Then we flip from Pokemon to Bayonetta 2.
Can't much go different on that stream here.
Yeah, but so Bayonetta 2, they showed off this explosion of giant bosses. I was there watching, and I go, after a while, giant bosses don't seem like much. Then I saw a giant manta ray with a face on it, and then it just stabs it in the side. Like, okay, now we're getting somewhere.
This is big.
This is getting somewhere. And then after that, all of a sudden, it's Bayonetta 2. Like we're expecting it at this point.
Good, fine, Bayonetta 2.
And then all of a sudden, it shows a clip from Bayonetta 1. And then they show clips from Bayonetta 1. And then she's dressed up as Princess Peach.
And then she's dressed up as Samus.
And Link. And then they unveil that Bayonetta 1 and 2 will be together in one disc.
Or one
box for the retail version. I guess the other one will have a download as well.
Yes.
Wow. That was what people were asking for.
And they gave it. And they gave us extra content. And it's coming out in October, right?
It's coming out this October. So it's a very, it's a big thing for Nintendo because they have, the next game they're going to talk about, Hyrule Warriors, is coming in September. This is coming in October, and we already had Captain Toad, which is probably coming in November, December.
And in December we'll see Smash Brothers.
So that's already pretty much their holiday lineup at this point. Anyways, back to Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors gets announced. Hyrule Warriors, we see Midna get announced, along with Queen Zelda.
Queen Zelda.
They're saying she's a queen, apparently. Yep. And they show off the Twilight Realm, showing off the giant dragon, the Twilight Dragon.
And I assume Zant is in it because Zant was later announced. But
and later they show the hook shot being used to pull the moon out of the sky to pull the dragon down.
And
wow.
Now, granted, the game is still Dynasty Warriors, so anyone who's not up for repetitive battling against lots of people and armies might be a little turned off. But it's still Legend of Zelda, so that might be enough to turn you away from that little problem. Be like, oh, I don't like the repetitive nature, but it's Zelda, so I'm okay.
There's a lot of motifs here from Zelda. Hopefully they have some stuff that's not from Twilight Princess. A lot of the stuff they've done is Twilight Princess. So hopefully we'll see some other games coming together. Skyward Sword or even Wind Waker. Probably not Wind Waker, but we'll probably see something.
Skull Kid. Let's see Skull Kid. Let's see him as a character.
But there's just so much action in this game. It's different from a Zelda game.
It's very different.
So, but it looks intense.
And then we saw another super cute game.
This was way
surprised.
I was completely
I was convinced that that's how it's not making a game for Kirby right now. But Kirby and the Rainbow Curse.
As soon as I saw everything turning to clay, I'm like, what? And the music started playing. I'm like, oh, it's Kirby, it's clay. And then all of a sudden,
we saw it.
It's a sequel to Canvas Curse. And this is like, I was thinking about this years ago. And now they're doing it.
And it's in claymation. Kirby, give me it back. Give me back my Pancreas. I need it to live. And
it just looks so cute. Obviously, it's probably a lot earlier than Yoshi is.
But in fact, they said that Rainbow Curse had apparently just been approved as its final name. So the game is probably about coming out, like, say, halfway through the year, as opposed to Yoshi Woolly World, which is very close.
I mean, if you're a fan of Canvas Curse, you'll love this game.
Yeah,
I'm concerned if there's any powers. There's no transformations.
Doesn't look like there's any powers, but the transformations look fun too.
Like a tank and everything's back, and it's just all cool.
You don't see too many Nintendo games in full claymation like that.
I'm glad they're embracing different art styles. Kirby is the one.
Kirby is the game that does it. Then this got people riled up a bit. It was Xenoblade Chronicles X, because when they first started showing it, people were like, "It's Metroid." I'm like, what are you on? What makes you think that's Zelda? Metroid.
It showed a giant, like an OS, like a visor, and you were thinking that it must be like the
Metroid Prime's visor.
But no, it was just a machine, and it revealed that Xenoblade Chronicles X, called it Xenoblade Chronicles sequel. They say you can customize your own characters. Again, it was
giant mechs.
It's a CG trail. This was not CG.
This was a
cinematic trailer.
So we really didn't see much of anything. It just proved that they have really good designs, but their faces, something's wrong. Maybe it's the perfect textures for their faces rather than having any detail that made it not look as good. But overall, when you see the actual world and the technology and stuff, that's when it looks good. Unfortunately, if you're not into the Xenoblade Chronicles gameplay, you're probably not interested in this game.
Yeah, based on what we've seen of Xenoblade Chronicles X, it's exactly like Xenoblade Chronicles in combat situations.
In combat situations, yeah. So, except with mechs.
So that's cool.
Then this game got announced.
Yeah, this was actually leaked.
2-3 weeks, about 4 or 5 days before.
Yes, people didn't believe it was real. There was a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is just this is fake." Mario Maker.
So Mario Maker is very much in the same vein as Mario Paint.
In fact, actually, they were making Mario Paint, and then they said, "We'll just make Mario Maker."
The premise is that you essentially are creating Mario levels, and you currently can use Mario from the original Super Mario Brothers and then Super Mario Brothers U,
which they announced.
And so you can actually create these vast levels, and then you have to run them, and when you complete them, that's it. We really have no information on how you can share it or other area concepts, and it's even apparently being shown in retail websites as a potential release.
And they're saying that will be different art styles, and there's going to be different gimmicks. I have no idea what to expect here.
This game is still earlier on, I feel. I think this game is even earlier than Kirby in terms of releases, because we don't even know there's a lot more stuff we haven't seen in this game, I feel.
And for me, just a game of just making levels, it wouldn't be enough for me.
Yeah.
It needs something else.
It needs an actual game made using the maker that's competent and capable of being worth it. And sharing all this from Miiverse.
Maybe it'll be like an Incredible Machine where you have only a set amount of items. Like, okay, you need to use these items to finish this level and get to the end.
Maybe. That seems like a bit much, but...
Yeah, you never know. This is a weird game.
Surprise announcement at the end with a new IP.
Yes, this was just completely off the wall.
I thought it was Super Mario Sunshine when I first saw it. Guys, it's Super Mario Sunshine!
We saw ink. We saw
colorful ink.
Color orange everywhere. I'm like, this looks like Nickelodeon. And all of a sudden, you see this squid jumping out of the water. I'm like,
is that a bloober?
Is that a bloober? And is that sunshine? What's going on here? And then it jumps out and it's a kid.
It jumps into this kid with his long like
hair
hair
tentacles.
and then he starts shooting
squirt gun, ink everywhere. And like, what is this thing?
And then we saw then it goes to a director commentary, and I go, what the hell is this? And it turns out that the lead development team is behind Animal Crossing New Leaf and New Super Mario Brothers 2 are making a new game called Splatoon.
A new IP from Nintendo, but they showed at E3 was a 4 versus 4 multiplayer online where you basically go around and try to cover much of the arena in your ink.
Yeah, the idea is supposed to cover the world in as much ink as possible. After your time limits over, or after you get a certain threshold, I think. Then it says, oh, whoever has the most ink by this point in time is the winner. And what happens is that it's not about killing the other team members, but if you kill them, they explode in your ink. But the idea is that you have to kill them, say in the right time. Like if you see another fighter who's in your ink, if you destroy them, it does nothing. Then just create your ink again.
Yeah.
But one of the cool things about it is that you can turn into into a squid form, and if you're in your own ink, you can move really fast through it, and you recharge your ink,
and you can jump really high.
You can climb up walls, and I guess at some point you might be able to go into the ceiling.
And then if you when you're playing it, and you say your friends are fighting on your screen, you grab the gamepad, you can click on the screen where your friends are, and you can jump way up in the air across the battlefield in real time and land right next to them and join the fight.
Yeah, and it's really cool like that. It's very quick to get back into the action. They showed off only about 1 or 2 guns. They showed off the normal shotgun. Then you have one that's like a bomb that if you throw, it uses a lot of ink, but explodes and huge explosions of ink.
And then they showed off in the trailer. They showed off a giant paint roller which can plow through everything.
That's like a melee weapon, they say.
And then there's also like a bazooka that shoots like a tornado of paint. I think
there's a sniper.
A charge shot they call it.
Yeah.
And this is a fun
game.
And
it only got more fun as we watched the trailer and as we saw the Treehouse live events. In a way, Splatoon was a very surprising thing. I had no idea I'd expect it, and I'm now really excited to see it.
And apparently they say that it'll have a single-player campaign, and it also will have a 1 versus 1 local multiplayer, though they say it will be different from what we saw at E3.
Yeah, so there's still a lot of unknowns about this game.
It looks further along than some of the other games. I think this one actually might come out first or second quarter of next year.
I think second quarter, but it's definitely coming out sooner than some of the other titles there. It looked really nice. Very surprising. Nintendo, a new IP. That was the end of it.
That was the end of the conference.
And then after they unveiled Palutena, they had Miyamoto, and they're like, oh, what's going on? And he's like...
He's working on what clearly is
Star Fox.
Star Fox.
And he turns around going, oh, hey, I got some new games I want to show you. I really like the gamepad. We got some new ideas I want to show you. And then they say, come to Treehouse Live in like an hour and a half. And in an hour and a half, he showed up to say, make a new Star Fox. And people were like, yeah, I'm a new Star Fox. He didn't show it off.
Apparently, the game was so
archaic
because apparently the gameplay was there, but the graphics weren't, and he didn't want to show off bad graphics.
Yeah,
he's had bad issues.
Yeah, he had experience with that.
Wind Waker.
The game. He also was looking for someone to develop the game in full. Because I guess Nintendo doesn't have enough resources internally to make the game. The rumors have it that they actually do already have a developer in place. They were just saying that as a way to kind of get the point that we're not ready yet to show it.
They did show off 2 other projects.
Yes.
Project Giant Robot and Project Guard.
Yeah, Giant Robot was essentially a game where you control a robot using,
you actually
lean forward. It's a very slow-moving guy punching and so forth.
Without leverage.
There's a game that does that on PC, I think, too. Kind of like Co-op, but not. Kind of like Tory Bash, where you kind of make moves and then you make the move as it happens. And then the second game, people didn't like it so much, but I like the fact you can make these robots yourself. You can design one that
make the head as big as you want, but if it's too top-heavy, it'll be knocked over.
Yeah.
It's a lot of cool stuff, but at the same time, do I see it being a full game? No.
And then they also had Project Guard, which is kind of
a tower defense game.
It's tower defense in the sense that you have 12 cameras, and you can see on one screen all of them, and just the one in the center is the one you want to pay attention to, and you even see that one on your touchscreen. And what happens is that you can only see certain robots as they come in to try and attack, and so you have to rely on your friends, or I guess your eyes if you're playing it yourself, to see where the robots are and then shoot them down by selecting the cameras and shooting them down one by one. Some robots will take your camera, which is funny because you can actually see the camera
shaking. You take it and throw it out of the base.
And there's also some robots that will only start running if you spot or controlling a camera and spot it.
And there's also this other one that takes multiple hits. And there was one that is like slender and sleeker, and when it is actually you can't see it on your radar.
There's one that actually will explode if you don't kill it fast enough, and if you explode, it actually destroys cameras.
So you be careful. So those UFOs I saw that was trying to steal your cameras.
Yeah, I would say that Guard had the most ideas thrown in as opposed to Giant Robot.
And apparently all the robots were made by Shigemoto designed them on a napkin or like a piece of paper.
Now, the thing to point out is that both those games, those project titles, had Star Fox motifs to it. Giant Robot used the same exact fonts as Star Fox 64.
And then there was actually a Star Fox logo on the cameras that are being used in Project Guard.
In an interview, Shigeru Miyamoto said that, in a way, he felt like next year would be essentially Star Fox's year. And he said that Star Fox, the traditional one that he's working on with the gamepad element that we didn't see, was more like the primetime game, like the show that everybody knows of.
The show everyone goes to see.
Whereas Guard and Giant Robot are like these nighttime shows that people don't pay attention to too much, but are coming out. My suspicion is either that the games are going to be consolidated into one omnibus product with multiple games beside the massive project, or that these Giant Robot and Guard are going to be Star Fox spin-off games coming out through eShop or in retail collection, and then there's going to be the main game that comes out at the end of the year.
This is probably going to get both based on how these games are not really that far along. These games are probably coming out during the holiday at the earliest.
I would say
not this year, next year.
Yeah, I think that the smaller ones are going to come out first, probably like say second quarter at earliest rather. We're going to see them coming out, and then the actual Star Fox game is going to be late 2015. Anyways. That was digital event. Outside, just going off the cuff. Outside of the digital event, they now had an indie montage, lots of indie games, Shovel Knight. Mario Party 10 was announced. All of a sudden, you play as Bowser in some games. The gamepad. Then they showed off some 3DS games like Fantasy Life is being brought over. Ace Attorney versus Professor Layton, I think it's the way around. That's coming. They also announced
Ace Attorney trilogy.
And on top of that, Devil's Third is coming to the Wii U exclusive.
Wii U exclusive is coming back.
Yeah, that was an exclusive from IGN, much like Project P100 for game trailers 2 years ago. So that's surprising. The game just obviously got into development again because there's still Xbox buttons, and it's a bit janky. So it's got a little bit ways to go, but it's coming out in 2015. And Codename Steam.
This was the second roundtable. They didn't want to tell anyone about it. It's a new IP. Everyone thought it was Miyamoto, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was actually being developed by Intelligent Systems.
The guys behind Fire Emblem, which they said don't worry about that SMT Cross Fire Emblem game, which that's still on course. This game is more like Valkyrie Chronicles, apparently.
Yeah, it's kind of like Valkyrie Chronicles in that it's a strategy game where you have it's kind of like overhead. There's no map. You only can rely on what your characters are seeing, and you move Steam units while you move around the screen. And
your actions take up steam.
Yeah, your actions take up steam. And in fact, if you move around, you can actually move backwards, and that actually removes the steam that you would have used. But if you are spotted by the enemy, you actually it's too late. You've used your steam, and now you have to make other actions. And the idea is that the game becomes a kind of a combination of action, stealth, strategy. So it's and it uses this very westernized art style, which is very different for Intelligent Systems.
It's trying to be cel shaded, similar to the golden age of comics. Mm-hmm. It's again not 100% like Golden Age comics, but similar, and takes place in the days of Abraham Lincoln, and everything's steampunk.
Abraham Lincoln fighting against Steam stands for Strike Team eliminating the alien menace. That was funny. But the premise is very odd. It was a very surprising announcement, and it wasn't playable at the show, but its announcement was definitely given a lot more publicity than you'd expect from a new IP from Nintendo. And that's Nintendo. Nintendo had lots of announcements.
Not all third parties. I mean, they did announce a few things.
There wasn't anything really third party from the digital event.
The digital event was all Nintendo first party games.
And then after that, they had some third party games showed up, but it was mostly single player experience.
Some games there were some that were absent. Retro. I mean, they just finished Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's to be expected.
But then Next Level Games wasn't there.
We thought they were going to have something,
and we didn't see a Majora's Mask 3D.
No. And so it was a really solid effort from Nintendo. Much, much better than last year. Not only because
it was an entertaining event.
It was an entertaining digital event, but because afterwards they spent a whole time trying to sell the game to the consumer rather than try and say, okay guys, we're done. Watch our videos on YouTube. See you later. Yeah, they were keeping it going constantly for 3 days straight. It was mind-blowing what Nintendo was trying to do for the consumer there. And I totally appreciate it. So, knowing that, let's get to the bingo card.
Yes, how was the bingo card?
So close.
So close.
We actually got really close twice. We actually missed out, if you include the fact that Codename Steam was announced and obviously the Indie Game Montage, Wii Sports Club was there in some form, and Art Academy Wii U was there, even though it wasn't mentioned at all at their digital event. Even so, Pokken Fighters, we thought for sure would be announced. It was not. Shame, really. And there was no Rhythm Heaven 3DS game. I'm guessing that's later for later in the year.
And also new Metroid.
Yeah, we had thought, and your Tony here thought that a new Metroid was really, really, really going to come out, and it did not.
Well, we got Splatoon, so I'm okay.
Yeah, so we got
for now. Sonic Boom was there, but it was not Nintendo's.
It was not Nintendo's. Even so, Next Level game wasn't there at all. So in the end, that was pretty much the premise of Nintendo. We got pretty close to bingo. Actually, Nintendo, we did the least good, I'd say, in terms of the bingo card, because we actually only got 2 instances of maybe getting bingo versus Sony, which was about 4, and Microsoft, which we passed several times.
Yes, so we did better this year's Nintendo than we did most of the time.
Yep. So that completes our thoughts of Nintendo. Click on the right side to see our prediction rundown, which will be super brief, or click on the left side to go to Sony's press conference event where we talk about Sony, or any of the links below to check out other quick links, or you can just, sit here and watch us squirm a bit.